Hello and happy Friday. Okay, guys, at least I managed to go live this week properly without any without any technical difficulties. Aside from the fact that our video wasn't showing on the live, we got this. So happy Friday. Welcome everybody to Crystal Coaching Connections, my video podcast, where we spend some time every week discussing health, wellness, and everything in between. The goal of my show is to actually really bring together wellness professionals as an integrative practice, fully exploring well-being like a wheel, like the spokes of a wheel. There are so many different facets to wellness that I really believe that we, as an individual, need to explore for our own personal health. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Crystal. I'm an integrative nutrition, health, and wellness coach and a certified natural therapist, specializing in working with men and women to navigate stress and burnout naturally, to be able to reclaim their confidence, because I know that was one of the things that I had the hardest time with when I was going through my burnout, and really teach them how to stress less, because stress is normal. It doesn't need to be out of control. Essentially, I'm your guide to helping you find realignment. Today, I have with us my friend Joanna on my podcast, and she is a certified massotherapist. But I'm not going to go into too many details because I really want Joanna to showcase herself and talk to me about who she is, what she does, and how she helps her clients.
Great.
Over to you, girl.
Thank you so much, Crystal. It's a pleasure to be here on your second episode of the podcast.
Yay.
So as you mentioned, I'm a registered massage therapist practicing here in Montreal. I'm originally from BC. That is where I studied Swedish massage back in 2006.
Nice.
So I realized this January, it's been 14 years since I've been practicing massage therapy.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That means your hands are magic, girl.
Thank you. So it hasn't always been full-time that I've been practicing massage therapy. I worked in Whistler, and then I worked in Tofino, did a little stint in Ireland, and then in 2011, I moved to Montreal to study nutrition at McGill.
Okay.
So I did the dietetics program there and worked as a massage therapist to help pay my way through school, and set up my business partway through doing my undergrad. And my business really just started to expand, and I've actually got pulled back in that direction, more into the holistic side of things in my massage therapy practice.
Okay.
I just continued with it, and I'm not actually a practicing dietitian at this time.
Okay. That's definitely a path that you took, but I love it.
Exactly. So I think I realized that, having the degree in nutrition, I have a very solid background in science now, which I think has really firmly rooted me in my massage practice. And then I was inspired to go back to school and study more massage therapy. So I took some deep tissue courses, fascia therapy, and then last year I studied kinesiotherapy, which was a 2-year program. So I'm sort of halfway through that. And unfortunately, it's on pause right now, as a lot of things are.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. We're definitely at a point right now where things are very different in our world. But how, speaking about that, like how has our new world shifted for you?
Well, that's a great question. So here in Montreal, we were in a hot zone, right, for COVID in the initial lockdown. So massage therapy, we were massage therapists. We were sitting at home for 2.5 months here in Montreal, and
first wave, you weren't able to practice at all.
Nothing at all. Some people did go virtually and tried to help their clients online, but I was just in, such a state myself, right? Going through the collective trauma that everyone was going through, that I was just at home and I didn't really know how to step into my practice. But we got the green light to head back to work June 1st, I think it was, here. And I waited about a week. I still needed to collect all my PPE and get everything set up so that I was practicing safely for both myself and for my clients. But I think it was June 7th that I headed back to work. And It was very nerve-wracking at first, but I think it all feels very normal, and we're kind of using standard operating procedures now, and I
Good.
feel very comfortable and confident in being back in my massage therapy practice, and it is so needed right now. If
And
we,
that's a perfect segue, right? That is a perfect segue because one of the things that I mentioned when I was posting this up, massage to me is not only self-care, and a lot of people think massage is super, oh, self-care, self-care. But it's also your health and well-being. And so I want to lead that to you. Like, tell me about how you've been helping your clients, how you continue to help them, and what makes massotherapy part of the healing world as opposed to just the self-care world.
yeah, actually, yeah, I love that, and it's been something that I've definitely been reflecting on, and I think, 2020, they say this is the year where it gives us 2020 vision, right?
Yeah.
And I think having that pause on what it is that I do, and we've actually been reclassified. So we were sort of bunched in, for lack of a better term, with aesthetics and
Yeah.
hair salons at one point. So sort of like
As
just
non-essential, right?
personal care, I guess, as non-essential. And then because massage therapy, you can get a receipt for that, and your work's health plan can reimburse you for going for a massage because there are so many benefits of it. Um, so we were reclassified as essential workers, and that's why we are allowed to work, and also because we have all these procedures in place for keeping people safe during this ongoing pandemic. So back to your question about how massage therapy benefits us, and you're right, it isn't just about self-care. I mean, that is definitely one aspect of it, but it's we're as massage therapists, we're not healers, we're not fixers. People come in sometimes, and I like to help them see that I'm not really fixing them. I'm the facilitator. They get on the table and they're like, oh, my low back has been bothering me. Okay, so we start massaging the low back, and then things may come up, memories that they have, or all of a sudden they'll say, something that's been bothering them, something that's been on their mind, and in our tissues we store memory, we store traumas. So
That
these are things that people need to release and let go of. And also, people will suddenly have this idea, oh, is it because I'm sleeping on my stomach at night in this position? And yes, the first thing that comes to your mind, or a client once had this neck pain, and I was massaging his neck, and then all of a sudden, and I mean, he's a grown man in his 40s, he remembered falling off a roof when he was a little child, and like just being a kid running around in the backyard on the shed or something like that, and he fell off and he had this accident, and like, why else would that memory suddenly pop up?
triggered by the pain in his neck.
Triggered by the pain and the trauma that he went through. He had a soft tissue injury in his neck, and then as I'm working that is being released, and it's being triggered, and it's coming to his memory.
Wow, that's profound.
It really is. It really is. And this is something that I'm just scratching the surface on, and kind of a direction that I'm taking my practice in, is that, and especially with the collective trauma that we are going through with COVID-19 right now in this global pandemic,
Mhm.
uh, trauma gets stored in our tissues.
Everywhere. Our fascia, especially, and a lot of people forget that. I love that you brought up fascia because I have one of my friends who's also an integrative doctor, and a holistic healer, global medicine doctor, and he specializes actually in fascia.
Wow. Okay, I need to meet him.
Yeah, I know, you definitely, don't worry, he's going to be on the show, and I definitely,
Follow him. Need to know more.
we need to geek out on some fascia, but like, he has a myofascial release program that we're actually currently working on to eventually get people trained in myofascial release. Specifically, we're working with the elderly right now, but yeah, the fact that you brought up fascia and how the interconnectivity in our body, the mind and the body. I mean, I talk a lot about gut health and mental health, with my practice of working with people with stress. A lot of times, I'm not going to take away that stress is stress. We suffer through stress. We have anxiety, but there are ways, physicality wise in your body to be able to help to release those stresses and then start to be able to focus on the individual stresses. But if our food is not aligned, if our mind, our body is not aligned, similarly, if our fascia is not aligned, our muscles are not aligned, the pains that we're feeling, if it's not aligned, we're not capable of working through.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, absolutely. And just the amount of effort that it takes to move your body through space, or even just sit still, if you're not aligned, if there's something going on in the gut, which can create an adhesion, which can create this, the soft tissues will start pulling, hugging the adhesion. And they say that 90% of back pain is actually caused by the visceral organs.
Wow. So
That,
can you explain to our listeners about their visceral organs?
right. So the viscera is basically your abdomen. So, you know, you have your gut, your small intestine, your large intestine. We have our liver, our kidneys. So these are our filtering organs, the lungs, the reproductive organs. And if there's anything going on in these systems, we start to create inflammation, and inflammation creates heat. And then the fascia, the connective tissue, which is our bit, it's called our sensory organ. Fascia got reclassified as an organ.
Okay, beautiful.
I believe. So very recently in surgeries, they used to just, you know, they would cut through the skin. So you have your dermal layer, your fascial layer, and then your musculoskeletal layer. And the fascia is this, it's like a cobwebby matrix. And they used to just slash through it in surgeries, you know, get this out of the way. We don't, you know, this is just in our way. And they paid no attention to it whatsoever. But it's our sensory organ. It's where our nerves are, where our endocrine system is deeply buried within it. And it's one connected sheet all throughout the entire body. It's the only system that runs from literally from your head down to your toes. And it runs all through, connected through the viscera.
Yeah.
So if this internal system is not functioning properly, we create these tensions. And, you know, think about when you get stressed or when you have anxiety, a lot of people experience gut ache, right? Or things will slow down, or all of a sudden it'll be the exact opposite. Things will start going really, really quickly.
Exactly.
You're either in camp 1 or camp 2. Depending on how you're wired. But yeah, so that is the fascia. But I had a little tab open that I wanted to mention as we were talking there. So you were talking about the body-mind connection. And you know, it was a teacher of mine who asked us in class one day, and he said, "What is the difference between the mind and the brain?" And do you know?
That I know, not necessarily. Like, yeah, go for it. I'll leave. I want to see where you go with this one.
Sure. So it stumped all of us, and it was a huge light bulb moment for me.
I'm feeling pretty light bulb moment right now, and I'm just like, my God, hold on, let me go back to my notes.
We sort of refer to our mind, but how do we tease that out from the brain? So the brain is, you know, located in our head, in the skull up here, but the mind is in every cell of the body. The mind is an extension of the brain, and it runs through the fascia, and it's all of our sensory organs and into every single cell. Every single cell is sensing what's going on in that part of the body, and it's getting signals and sending signals to other parts of the body through.
I really love that. That is insane. Again, mind blown. So yeah, mind's blown because, you know, I spend time talking to my clients about the, you know, the things that we say to ourselves and how it like will either promote, you know, good things to happen, or it might promote maybe some otherwise not so good things to happen, right? And so that's kind of like, I talk about the brain, but the mind connection is what actually the physicality of how it makes you do it.
It's the mind is the physicality of our brain, right? And it's every single cell of our body. And I see that we both have plants around us, and it's interesting that you bring up you know, the words we say. And I think, you know, there's a vibration, right, that's attached to certain words. And even plants, if you speak kindly to plants versus if you speak, I don't know, I don't remember exactly
Or
what
you
the,
don't speak, or you don't speak to them.
or you say mean things to your plants.
You're like, why aren't you growing?
Yeah, they've done experiments with this, and the plants that have been given classical music or they've been spoken to in a nice way actually grow better than plants that are either just neglected
Yeah, I'm
or
looking at my beautiful plant over here that I've been trying to revive. You can't see it right now, and I can't really shuffle around my camera, but like I have been nursing this baby for months now. I think I need to talk to her more though.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, send her
That's
some.
that's such an interesting segue and how we ended up going there. But like, I love how. So I want to go back to fascia a little bit because obviously your hands are magic. I've had the pleasure of seeing you, and when I came to you, I was pretty jacked
Jammed
up.
up. You were jammed up.
I was really jammed up, and one of the things that I realized is that I think I need to spend more time doing that. Speaking of that, we should probably look to book an appointment soon. But
Yes, absolutely.
like, how do you? What's your favorite way to heal your clients? Like, what's the best way to heal your clients or to help them heal themselves? Because you said that you are.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about empowering people to heal themselves, and really, I'm there, as I said, as a facilitator, someone that people check in with, every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks, 6, 8. It really depends on um, what kind of activities people do, how they're wired. Some people just tend to get tighter more quickly than others, and that's just the cards they're dealt. And then also what people do in between their massages. So that's a huge thing, right? How hydrated are you? Do you do your foam rolling? Do you do some gentle passive stretching activities such as yoga or Pilates?
Mhm.
What are your stress levels? How are you sleeping? How are you eating? All of these things affect your physical health. And like, I had a client yesterday, and I said to her, I said, there's been a big shift since your last appointment, which was only 6 weeks ago. I said, how's your hydration level? Like, I just had this kind of feeling that she wasn't drinking enough water, and I can feel that in the tissue. It's very stuck.
Wow.
And there was a big difference from the time before. And she said, I really haven't been drinking much water lately. Stuff going on at work. I just don't have the time to. And I said, okay, so we're going to download this app. Your goal is to drink this much water on the hour, and you're going to use your smartphone to set a reminder and make sure that you're meeting your hydration goals. And then let's check in next time and see if that makes a difference.
I absolutely love how, although, your main business is massotherapy and really like touching people's bodies, I
Mhm.
love how you connect to be able to help them to become accountable to their health and wellness as well. So by getting them to download an app or referring them to somebody else for another specialty, right? And that's kind of where this community is for me, the community of being able to like become global healers and help
Mhm.
like and enablers of people's health.
I love that.
Like, I
Love
know. I know it's crazy because the more I say it, the more I feel it. I myself I've always used massotherapy as self-care, and I never really looked at it as healthcare.
Mhm.
And as people call me the self-care queen, but self-care is healthcare. It is not being selfish. It's really taking care of your mind, your
Mhm.
body, your soul, and every little thing in between. So it's everything from creating routines to adding somebody like you into our practice, or even having that kind of coaching work with somebody like me. If somebody's a very stressed person going through a burnout or is on the verge maybe of a burnout, right? I remember going through mine and then having the ability to go see a massotherapist. In the time it wasn't you, but the release, going to see a therapist
Absolutely.
and then going to get body work done, the release and the expansion that happens inside your psyche is
Mhm.
incredible.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I think um, we often only sort of think of the physical benefits of regular massage, but there's a lot of mental, emotional, and spiritual benefits as well.
Mhm.
Um, and I think people who tend to get regular massages, it's part of their routine, I think it creates resilience in them, right? So even if they have a physical injury or they're going through some mental stress, they can, put on a playlist and go back to a calmer state more easily.
Yeah, I feel like even massotherapy is accountability in itself.
Exactly. Yeah. And
100%.
as I was preparing for our chat today, I was kind of thinking, I'm like, it's always good to sort of have a word, something, a theme.
Okay.
And I think my word is permission.
Oh.
I think for me, that's what massage therapy, especially in these times, is. So it's permission to rest, permission to take care of yourself,
Oh.
and permission to feel whatever it is that you're going through and to let that out. And a good massage therapist will be there for their clients and whatever it is that they want to say or get out during the session. And that often happens. People have memories, people have something that they want to share about their day, and to release it there on the massage table and not bring it home with them.
Let it go. Let it go.
Exactly.
That's incredible. I love that you use that word because I actually, I used that word specifically this week with one of my clients, and, they were feeling stressed and overwhelmed. And, I gave them permission to feel the way that they were feeling.
Yeah.
It was that, because oftentimes we internalize it. We're like, okay, I'm stressed. No, I have to like push it down, push it down, push it away. No, you have to be able to give yourself permission to own it
Mm-hmm.
and to overcome it.
Yeah.
And allow it to leave the presence of where you are. It doesn't have to stay, but you have to acknowledge it and give yourself permission to acknowledge it.
Yeah. Agreed. So well said. I love that.
Thank you. What I know we're coming closer to the end, but what brought you into this world? Like what is your calling? How did I mean, you've been doing this for a long time. It's 10 years, you said? No, 14 years.
14.
I know, 14 years, and you're still doing it. And, like I take a look at my 14-year career at the bank, and I would have said that I could have probably been there forever. But it was definitely not my calling. This, I don't feel like it's, what I do now with my clients and the passion that I put into it, I don't work ever. I don't work ever. And so, one, you've been lucky enough, but like, how did you find this passion, this calling, how did you give yourself permission to follow this calling?
Well, I think I touched on that a little bit earlier, but I came across massage therapy, I guess by chance, or it was put on my path for a reason. I was walking with a friend one day, and we bumped into a friend of hers who was starting this massage therapy program back in BC, and it had sort of been on my radar. I had a couple of friends who were working in the industry in Whistler, and I started the next week. I was like, I want to do that. I went to the bank, I got a student loan and $8,000 to this program. Okay, I'm going to become a massage therapist.
It sounds so much like what I did with IIN.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
right.
I got to do this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in. Okay, this is the direction I'm going now.
Yeah.
So, I did that in BC, and then I think I sort of had this hunger for more knowledge and nutrition. Becoming a massage therapist kind of put me more in the health industry, right? So I started taking better care of myself. I was really young. I was a smoker. So I quit smoking. I became vegetarian. I started cooking and getting interested in nutrition. I was seeing a naturopath. I started practicing yoga because we got free yoga classes. So it was all sort of put on my path. And this is even just at the center where I had my first job. So I really immersed myself in health and wellness. And then I'm like, well, I'm going to get a degree in nutrition. So I did that. And unfortunately, I think for a lot of jobs in dietetics, you end up working more in sick care.
Yeah,
You're
and healthcare.
People when they're quite sick and they're not really, especially if you work in a hospital setting. I don't know how many people actually will get better, right? Like, they ended up in the hospital for a reason. Unfortunately, our system is quite broken. We need more people like you who are going to
Teach
help
people.
people be accountable and really teach people, because sending someone home with a sheet on how to decrease their sodium intake,
Can I just tell you that what you're just saying right now is
not
like,
gonna work. That's sick care.
and the knowledge that you have as a diet, like after having doing that dietetics program and having the nutrition background, to take your skills and literally give people a piece of paper and say, hey, go home.
Yeah, and you got like 10 minutes with them because you have all these charts to read, and so and that's not all positions in dietetics. I mean, I think
No,
private practice, you have a lot more time. You can work one-on-one with
a lot of
people.
people don't realize that it
Motivated.
exists.
Yeah. But so I was like, no, I went into this because I wanted to help people. I'm
Mhm.
an empath. I'm a highly sensitive person. I feel things very deeply. And I just didn't see that being a good fit for me. So I went back to massage therapy, or continued on with my massage therapy. And I think if I am going to incorporate nutrition, I do incorporate nutrition. It's part of what I do with my clients. But I think I would do that. I would potentially do the IIN program like you, or study the big program in the United States, which
Yeah.
is the Institute for Functional Medicine.
Yeah, so exactly. That's actually, I'm looking at that one now as well. I
Yeah.
believe that I have all the prerequisites. I
Amazing.
believe so. I think that IIN prepares you,
Okay.
and the amount of, anyway, I'm looking at it. I'm definitely looking at it.
It's a good one. And I think for anyone that's listening to this, IFM, Institute for Functional Medicine.
Yeah.
So you can find a practitioner. You just put in your postal code wherever you live. And these are people who have gone through rigorous training on and functional medicine. Should we briefly touch on what functional medicine is?
We can briefly touch on it. I'm
Yeah.
feeling the flow. There's people
Yeah.
still watching. We don't have any questions, which is
Oh,
interesting, but
okay.
if we have questions, we'll go there. But I've got people watching, so go ahead. And plus, they can watch the replay.
Exactly. So it's looking at the root cause of disease and illness, as opposed to sort of throwing a band-aid on top of it. Like, okay, someone has hypertension, so we're just going to decrease their sodium intake. Well, that might not actually be the root cause of the hypertension. There might be stress. There might be leaky gut. There might be food intolerances. There might be systemic inflammation. There can be all sorts of things going on that can cause the blood pressure to go up. And sending a patient home with a sheet on high sodium foods is not addressing the root cause.
We're sending them home with the medication that's going to help get it in control, but we're not actually going to figure out what it is. So functional medicine is really finding the root cause.
Exactly. So I can see there's a huge need for this in the world, and I think people like you and I will be busy over the next couple decades of our careers.
Definitely. And we've also actually come into like a really amazing time. I don't know about for the rest of the provinces, the rest of the world, but I know that for massotherapy, the issuance of health receipts
Mhm.
is a huge thing. Most insurance companies are actually, are accepting them. I haven't seen one that doesn't accept them, but in my practice, I am lucky enough to be a certified naturotherapist. I have been accepted as part of that group of people that is able to offer holistic health to clients. It's health. It's about
Mhm.
their wellness. And so a lot of people don't know that. And I'm not sure, I am seeing that there is an increased need for this in our everyday life, but in our corporate structures. I came from the corporate world. Those are usually the clients that I have that are under my belt as well.
Right.
And they've gone through some serious high stressful life experiences and even their work experience, right? Let me tell you, it can be very, very interesting.
Mhm.
But even then, we should be at a point where we're setting people up for the foundation of their health and allowing them to continue to move forward and look at their health in a holistic way, and not so much, it's great that we're giving them 80 to 90% to cover their medications, but it would be great to see that over across the board they were giving them options to have their massotherapist, their acupuncturist, their Chinese traditional medicine doctor, their herbalist, their health coach, their even their
Personal trainer.
personal trainer. Like this is
Yeah,
incredible, and some of the best companies in the world are putting things like this into place.
in the forefront. Yeah, exactly. Because it's preventative.
preventative medicine, preventative health. And yeah, I totally, this was a honestly great conversation. We went into so many different places, and I love how, this is just proof. The proof is in the pudding right here, where somebody would come in thinking that massotherapy is all about, self-care, like, oh, I'm going to go get pampered today. I'm going to go see my massotherapist. No, you might be seeing your therapist at the same time.
Yes, exactly, and setting yourself up for success in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, Joanna, this was a great conversation. I don't know if you have any final thoughts or final comments that you wanted to share, or
Yeah, no, I think we touched on everything. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. And it's always great to reflect on what it is that we do and why we do it.
I know, it's so amazing. And it was a beautiful conversation with you today. So thanks everybody for listening in or watching live as we did this. I really appreciate having you guys here on my podcast. If you guys can get the replay on my Facebook, I will be posting it up on my YouTube channel, which I will probably be posting the link shortly for people to start subscribing and getting their stuff, getting that regular reminder. But listen, thank you again. I really appreciate it. I'm sending you love for the weekend, everybody. Have a brilliant weekend. Enjoy your time. And don't forget, book your time with your massotherapist.